Welcome to the Shine Your Light, Reach Your Best podcast. I'm your host, Claire Thomas. I'm on a mission to support women who feel stuck, unfulfilled and disempowered to have a successful, fulfilled, soul-led life. I guide women to reawaken their unique power so they can shine their light and reach their best. Whether you know it or not, you are an incredible, unique and powerful being, and you are here for a reason. Don't let it go to waste. This podcast is designed to support and enrich the Shine Your Light, Reach Your Best self-development coaching cards. If you have a deck, then I thank you for helping me to shine my own light. And if you haven't, then follow the link in the show notes and head on over to my website to get your deck. It will be the best, most loved investment you make this year. But for now, sit back, relax, and let's work out how to shine all our lights brightly. Hi, and welcome to episode 11 of the Shine Your Light, Reach Your Best podcast. So today I'm going to talk about what's happening next week. Well, for some people, the whole of the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. But in the UK, next week is the week where we really hone in on driving awareness of mental health in the UK. And mental health is something that is really important to me. And I want everybody else to be aware of mental health, of how we can get ourselves into a place of having poor mental health, and for everybody to know and understand that there are very simple, easy techniques that we can all do that can help us build up mental fitness. And so we have resilience, so we can build resilience to the challenges that life throws our way. And this is so important because we get so caught up in our lives and we see everything around us as happening to us, when actually we are more part of a big mechanism of events that are happening, many of them out of our control. And we get to choose in a moment how we respond to those events. And if we have a strong mental health, a good positive mental mindset, then when we see we experience one of life's challenges, it gives us the ability to not take those events personally, to not see them as being the end of the way things currently are. And that's really, really important because it helps us create some distance between us and the events, and it helps us to see things differently and to adopt a different perspective. And this is really the key behind the work that I do. So just to spend a few moments on mental health, there has been a lot of stigma around mental health. And it's something that I know that there are very many people out there that suffer from poor mental health. And it really is all encompassing when they're in these periods of their lives when things are hard. It's really, really hard. And even the smallest things feel really hard to do. Now, I consider myself to be very, very lucky that I haven't experienced the depths of depression, and my heart really goes out to anybody that has. But I have experienced times when I found life really hard, and all I've wanted to do is curl up in a ball in my bed to make the room as dark as possible and shut myself off from the world, where I've laid on my bed and I've just bawled my eyes out. And I actually find that to be a very healthy, cathartic process. And I guess the difference is that once I've got all of that out of my system, I'm able to then move on to putting it behind me. But for some people, being in this cycle of negative thought patterns becomes a habit that they're not able to have conscious awareness around. It becomes their way of being, and breaking that habit is the the key to success in building a strong, resilient mental fitness. So just like we spend money and time every day, every week on working towards our physical fitness, not many of us spend or invest in building up our mental resilience. And that's something that I help my clients do. And it's really important. And as you know, I promote myself as being a mindset and mindfulness coach. A lot of this came for me from practicing mindfulness. And that's because I found myself at a time working for a previous employer where I wasn't really able to be myself and I didn't enjoy the work that I was doing. I found it really tough and it got me down. And I noticed that I was very short with those that are my nearest and dearest. I was unhappy. It really didn't take much to make me fly off the handle, and it was really unpleasant. And I would go through these cycles of it just like a clockwork doll being wound up and up and up and up, and then it would burst and my emotions would come out and explode, and it would be so painful. And then it would all be okay, and then it would all start again slowly and slowly. But what I found was I needed a quick, easy, not easy, I needed a solution to this. And I believed that mindfulness would help me with this. And what mindfulness allows us to do is it allows us to bring our awareness to our thoughts, our feelings, and emotions at that particular point of time. And when we have that awareness, we can make a conscious choice about how we respond to life situations. Now, it's not a magical solution that we just suddenly start practicing and then we can face life's biggest challenges like water flowing off a duck's back. No, it takes lots of time and lots of practice. It takes short bursts of very regular practice to build up a habit. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes, an hour of sitting meditation every day to build up this habit. To start off with, it could just be 30 seconds a minute, but just time to slow down, to connect with our breath. And in that space, when we're slowing down, we can see or feel or hear our thoughts, emotions, and feelings with more clarity. And when we have that space, I liken it to being in the Matrix or in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where they use bullet time, that technique where they freeze the frame and then you can see that particular situation from all angles. And you see them in the middle of a fight and they're able in that moment to decide which is the baddie that they're going to take out next and how are they going to do it. And that's what I see mindfulness allowing you to do. It builds up a habit that allows you to slow down time so that you can then respond in a different way. And it takes, just like any muscle, it needs continuous exercising to build up that strength, that muscle memory, to just keep coming back to our breath and in that moment. So mindfulness has been a really core part of my practice and what I like to share with my clients. But also I offer a program from Positive Intelligence. And what I love about this, it's a mental fitness program, and it's about, it takes that part of mindfulness that's based on neuroplasticity and based on cognitive behavioral therapy to recognize that a way to build a way of bringing yourself into the moment. But in that moment, it also allows you to observe your behaviors. And we all have automatic, instinctive behaviors, ways that we respond to the situations around us. And most of these behaviors, or nearly all of them, were formed when we were very young. And at that point in time, we were learning how to survive in this crazy world that we live in. And there were moments where we perceived the world to be threatening. And in those moments of threat, we drew on our fight or flight instinct to keep us safe. And we are all different, and we all have different ways of drawing on different skills that we have that are unique to each of us to help us survive in situations of threat. And those behaviors become embedded into our way of being. And each time we experience a situation that feels even slightly familiar to that original situation, we use the same skills or behaviors to get us out of the situation. And as we grow up, we don't let go of these behaviors, but they start to no longer serve us. So if, for example, when we were younger, we believed that we needed to do really well in a piece of work at school because that would prove that we were good enough and that we deserved to be loved, then as an adult, we will keep trying to perform and perform and perform with no regard on how that impacts our mental and physical well-being. If and it's our natural instinct, for example, to be very kind and loving and empathic, then we would draw on those skills and maybe turn into somebody who likes to please people, somebody who will always say yes, who will have no boundaries and take on too much. So these are how these behaviors are formed and how they remain in our lives. And the trick to building up mental fitness is to recognize that in the moment that these behaviors are not serving us, they're actually holding us back. They're stopping us from being our true selves. And when we can be in the moment and we can put those voices in a box, we can access that part of our brain that is clear-headed, that is full of empathy, that sees lots of different options for the situation that we're in. We are able to access the wisdom of our wider elder self and say, well, what would my wiser elder self do? Which bits of this situation would they really be finding important and want to focus on? And it's these behaviors, this ability to empathize, to innovate, to have clear-headed action that become our superpowers. When we can tap into these powers and not listen to the voices that are holding us back, we can cultivate happier, healthier relationships with anybody that we interact with. We can look after our well-being. We can have greater mental resilience, mental clarity. And we start to find that life becomes easier and that it is possible to follow the path of least resistance, the path of ease and flow in everything we do. Life is happening around us. We are an observer and we get to choose how we react. So just to wrap up here, next week, there are some really exciting things happening. I'm going to be joined in episode 12, the next episode of this podcast, by Kerry from West Kent Mind, and we're going to be talking about all of anything in the space of mental health and wellness, because that's what she does and that's what I'm passionate about, and it's Mental Health Awareness Week. But I'm also going to be running a series of webinars, 3 webinars, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, all at different times. It will be the same webinar each time, but I wanted people to be able to choose when they join. And I will be going a bit more into detail of how everything I've been talking about just now, how we self-sabotage, how we can build up mental resilience, and giving you a demonstration of how you can do that as well. And for each person that attends this live, I will personally be donating £1 to West Kent Mind. So that's pretty exciting. Hopefully that's a good motivation for as many of you to show up live as possible. I will put a link to register for the event in the show notes. So please make sure that you do register and you do turn up. I wish you all well. I'll have a wonderful week. Enjoy the sunshine, and I look forward to seeing as many of you as possible next week. So keep shining, keep reaching your best. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Shine Your Light, Reach Your Best podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, so please follow the show. I'd love you to like, comment and share this episode with anyone else whose light needs some help shining. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm open to having guests on my podcast. So if you would like to share your story, please send me an email to claire@reachingmybest.com or click on the link in the show notes. So for now, keep shining and reaching for your best.